tell my friends stand by me only if I'm right. I come out of triple darkness just to see the light. If I say it once, I guarantee I say it twice. If they want me, I ain't going out without a fight. In my dreams, I'm a killer, but for God, man. Try to play it cool, but it's getting hard, man. Rolling with the real and death to all the frauds, man. Not too many of me, yeah, it's kinda hard, man. In my room, sitting in my room. Know they waiting on me and I'm coming soon. Never been a sellout, never been a coon. Y'all be on the camera acting.
What's going on, family? This is Che Wills from Wealth is a Journey. I'm here to invite you to the Wealth Builders community. We meet once a month on Zoom. We talk about financial wins, areas of opportunity, and strategies to get you to the M's. If you've been doing your finances alone, I know it sucks. You don't know which direction to go. You don't know what to do, but I am here to guide you. My wife and I, we have gotten out of debt. We are debt-free, house, cars, credit cards, everything. And I am here to guide you on how you can do the same so then you can start building long-term wealth for you and your children's children. So if you've been doing finances alone and you are tired of it, I'm inviting you to join Wealth Builders community today. Let's go.
Yeah, you better believe I got a sweet tooth, but ain't nothing sweet. I know you spend all your money to treat. I'm about to spend this little money on treats. Was on a diet, but I gotta cheat. Jumped off the porch, now I'm on 2nd Street. Tamika, my twin, she rolling that dough, and I think about counting that dough in my sleep. What's up, TJ? Before y'all run, I don't wanna be late. I need a little something, I hit the Z-way, and I need it now, I don't need a delay. Peanut butter like my snack, like my woman. Denzel Washington, I'm leaving with sun. Chocolate chip, baby, you know I don't.
Hey, welcome to the B2M podcast, a podcast with 5 lifelong friends, brothers, cousins, with 13 children, 12 young men, 1 beautiful lady, get together and talk about community, fatherhood, family, and faith. Today, we're going to talk about faith and being a father, being the leader of a household, and talk about that role in our lives and raising our children. James, what conversations about faith have been the hardest, or what things most important that you try to instill into your children?
What have been? Say that again.
What's one of the most important lessons or values regarding faith and its role as you raise your children?
Well, I can't recall a time when it was just like direct to that of faith. More so, just I just try to exemplify it more so. You know what I mean? Through just, as I've mentioned all the time, prayer. And that, in my opinion, requires so much faith. And I just try to translate and pass it on to the boys as far as its importance in everything you do. You know, we could go, as I've done in the past as well, with regards to definitions. Now we can use the biblical definition of that, right? Whereas it has faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen.
Gotcha.
And so, I mean, there's so much to that. That's just such a huge question. But then if you go to Webster's definition, it's a little different. But it has allegiance to duty or a person, loyalty, fidelity in one's promises, sincerity of intentions, belief and trust in and loyalty to God, and belief in the traditional doctrines of a religion. So
I think that first part you was quoting King James version.
No, actually that was it was an ESV or something like that. I typically rely on the American Standard ASV, but anywho.
I think the question on the importance of it, like I think we live, when considering the time. Now, this is why I think the topic is important, because we live in a time period in American and world history where all things point to a moral decline, right? And especially in the United States, where anything goes, where I have my individual rights that almost trump community rights, that trump nation rights, that I can do whatever I want to do, even if it's what we would traditionally consider immoral, right? So I think there's a moral decay in America. And so what that raises to me is, what do people believe in? And our faith is what we believe in, right? And I just want to, what's makes it important for me is, regardless of a person's religious denomination, is, I'm gonna go back to the Bible. If you could have the faith just the size of the grain of a mustard seed,
come on now,
you could say to a mountain, be removed, and it will be removed, right? So the question for me is, I want to make sure, like, what do our children, our families, what do we believe in, right? What do we ultimately believe in that guides us, that sustains us, right? That gives us the ability, like our ancestors had, all they had was faith that a change was going to come, right? And so my question is, when you look at the condition of our community, my statement is, it seems like, though we say we're Christian and we go to church, though we say we're Muslims and we go to the mosque, though we say we're Jews and we go to the synagogue, and some of us say we're agnostic, all of our actions speak to something totally different than what those faiths speak to. So I almost feel like we're a faithless society. And therefore, it's even more important for us to make sure our children have faith in something of goodness, of quality, and of values.
That's a good point. So you talked about our actions dictating how they act and how they move. Is that something you intentionally did, or do you intentionally try to get them to read and study and learn on their own, or were certain other practices beyond being the example that you exercise with the kids?
I think number one, I think our actions, you know, as they say, children don't do what you say, they do what they see you do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's important for them to see us being intentional. But I think I'm speaking of something a little bit different than the organized religion piece. And I think I'm speaking to demonstrating and always having a message to them about reminding them that God got you, right? And then telling them what that means and say, you can overcome anything because there's a power that guides me and has helped me through everything I've been through, right? That sustains me. So it's like, we can play religion all day long, man. I could have modeled for them going to church, going to the mosque. And
say that again. You said
play religion all day long. But ultimately, as Minister Farrakhan said, religion is not what you believe, it's what you practice.
Yes,
and so
sir.
what faith do we practice? And so to me, practicing being a model citizen, practicing trying to overcome obstacles in my life, practicing trying to treat my fellow man like I want to be treated, to me, that's faith, right? And I just think we're missing the boat because it's almost like religion has become a checked box. I went to church, check. Done. Wrote the check. And then we go back treating one another like dogs during the week, you know. As Karl Marx said, religion is a get high for the poor and for the masses, you know. And so I know I might not have answered your question specifically, but that's where I'm at with it on a level beyond just organized religion. You know,
you got me going. You got me ready to ask you about these other folks who use religion in a negative way, right? Completely the opposite way. But I don't know if we should go down that rabbit hole today or not.
I think most of us, that's what's
Why
happening.
not? What are we here for?
Marquis, jump on that, man. I know you feel me, man.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you, bro. And when we talk about how we tried to convey that message to our sons or our children, for me, I was never a person who said, hey, I'm a Christian, be this, I'm a Muslim, be this, I'm anything, be this. What I tried to do is make sure I lived a life that was an example that they could look at. And so I know, let me just go back. In my growing up, my mom was Catholic. We went to Catholic school, went to Catholic church, but she never pushed that on me and my brother. She was like, hey, I'm not going to push that on y'all. I'm going to let you guys get old enough to where you can decide for yourselves. You know what I mean? What you want to do. Around late teens, 17, 16, 17, 18, we discovered a man named Reverend Only at First Baptist Church on Main Street in Charlottesville.
Shout out to Reverend Only. Yeah.
And
Yes, sir.
he was
Absolutely.
he had a profound impact on our lives in terms of bringing us into the fold and kind of giving us some structure. But then we found the nation. And we found the Nation of Islam. And I tell people all the time that is what shaped and really transformed. I knew I wanted to be different when I joined Reverend Only's church. But when I became a member of the nation, it taught me how to implement it in my everyday life. And so one of the things that I always tried to share with the fellas was, there's two types of authority here. There's authority by title. I'm your father, you do what I say. And then there's authority, what they call moral authority. You know, you look at my example and how I live my life, and that becomes an example for you. So many times I believe fathers and mothers, parents, whoever, they are only operating on authority by title. I'm your daddy, I'm your mama, you do what I tell you. I'm your grandma, you do what I tell you. But they've lost all moral authority with their young people. And so the young people looking at them like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I see what you're doing. You know, and when I see what you're doing, you're losing me. You are losing me. We are losing our young people because we are not living a life that we profess to have. The faith that we profess to have, they're not seeing us live it out in our everyday lives. And so we wonder why young people not listening. We wonder why the moral decay of this country is unbelievable. It's not an accident that we have the leader in office that we have right now. Just morally bankrupt, and everybody following along, and so many people following along right behind that. You know,
well, how old were you? Oh, go ahead, my bad.
Go ahead.
How old were you when we mentioned Reverend Only and the nation came into your life? At what point? Because you talked about being born into Catholicism.
16, 17.
When
we started going to First Baptist on Main Street, and then being introduced to the nation at 19 years old.
Okay,
being introduced to that at that time.
To the crew, what in particular, if you can recall, what pinpointed Reverend Only or the nation? What was it that sparked something in you guys? Can you recall that? A pinpoint what sparked the attraction and the vibe?
For me, it was easy. The knowledge of self. When joining the nation and just coming to understand, like, yo, there's a lot of history and understanding that you need to understand about you and your people and who you are, and that was taught when we joined the nation. It wasn't taught as much going to church. You know, church was like, we got a set of principles and values that we got to follow, blah blah blah. But speaking to us as young Black men, that message we got from the nation just truly helped. When you see us, I believe, when you see us on this podcast, on this show right now, when you see the children that we have raised and how we raised them, that ain't nothing but nation teaching. I think that's what we've all done. Now it has been shaped in a different way. You know, I'm not in the nation anymore. Chill not in the nation. You know, Talik not in it, anymore. But it totally shaped.
John in the reserve.
John in the reserves.
Yeah, I'm in the live reserve, brother.
FOI reserve.
I think for me, I remember at Reverend's Only Church. I remember, when I was a member there, I just remember it was such a clear message that I could understand. And I remember the message when I left church, I remember that. Also, like learning about the nation, it was one of them moments, man. It was like it was a moment where I didn't hear that much about Black history and you know, knowing who I am and knowing how to move as a man and being able to withhold yourself from sex at that time, man, and just, I mean, like you know, just having some willpower, you know.
Right.
Sometimes you miss the mark, but you know that before that wasn't even never even in my frame of thought. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, it was one mission, right?
Yeah, there was a level of accountability that was brought to it when we joined the nation.
Yeah.
You know.
And the brotherhood, like, you know, being around the brothers so much, you know, everybody checking, brother, you all right? And so much of the back and forth and checking. And I remember, man, going to Savior's Day, man. This was the very first time that I ever experienced being able to, outside of the house, being able to go in a public environment and leave something that I consider valuable down and be on the other side of the building and come back and had nobody even moved it and touched it. That was the first time I ever experienced, like, yo, okay, this is different, you know. So it was cool, but what and then this the transition, right? When I was dating and I met my wife, and we was, you know, having these long conversations, and I was learning about the nation and had all this, and I was familiar with Christianity, and she was like, look, if we gonna be together, like, if you're a Muslim, I can't. We not equally yoked.
She can't rock with you.
She can't rock with me. And I was like, well, you know.
Oh my God.
It was rough. It was rough. It was
the equally yoked thing that has come up. People have said that, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when you brought that up,
you did, brother.
I'll go ahead, finish your thing. But my wife and I hear that mess. I've heard that anyway. But go ahead, bro. I'll let you finish.
Yes, sir.
Interdenominational relationships, huh?
And so I was like, why? And she was like, when we have children, I want to be able to. I don't want to divide. I want us to be on one accord, and I want to be there. And I respected it. And I was like, all right, Christianity it is, right? And so that's what we did. When Tariq was born, man, he grew up in the church, right? And I mean, we went every week, or very consistent, right? And I remember he never cried at church. Never cried. And most kids, they, itchy clothes and don't want to, but he never cried at church. But he cried everywhere else, but never at church. So, so those the moments that bring me to right here. Yeah.
Well, when you mentioned what's kind of stood out, I guess, if you will, JG, just how simple and plain the minister just broke down the word, man, scriptures, Quran, Bible, and just making it so plain is what just gravitated towards me, because it's funny, and I think I shared this again of the episode, but before that time that we was playing ball and everything, I had sat down and was trying to read the Bible and just like, yo, this one begat this, that, and the third. I'm like, what is the truth? I asked that of myself. And then about 3 weeks later, that's when, after we finished playing ball, yeah, yo, you been by these guys? Alicia, you ever heard of Elishama and Khalil, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. And y'all took me by their spot, and he was playing that, the question and answer video. And so from there, and the way he was just off the top of his head, just with a question and an answer, just making stuff so plain. And again, those scriptures, the Bible is particularly just making it so clear. And then once, accepting that and that teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that you are God. Absolutely. I'm like, whoa, I'm trying to be in the classroom of God. I can be a God. When as Waz said, the knowledge of self, this, that, and the third, but yet the knowledge of self is knowing that you are a direct descendant of God and that you can be God, which is the same thing Jesus said as far as like, Greater is in what is it?
And he is the he in the
Greater
world.
is he that
Yeah.
is in me than he that is in the world. Yeah.
Yes, one of the
I and my Father are
so,
one.
yeah, of those so many ways he has shown us or says to us or gives us hints that we are, he even says what that we he wanted us to be greater than he was, and he being that as far as the most significant prophet, people get kind of controversial saying that, but of God, he was a master of prophets, but anywho.
Yeah, well, ironically, when y'all were talking about Brother Elishama, I know we've talked about this before. When y'all was down here, I had come home. I was playing JUCO baseball up in Maryland. And the funny thing is, bro, I'm gonna tell y'all, y'all don't know this yet. Man, a couple of weeks ago, I think I talked to John. I went back up to Hagerstown because I have a great niece up there that was graduating from high school, and I saw one of the basketball players. And I hadn't seen him in like 35 years, right? But it reminded me of anybody from that time period of my life I wasn't in contact with. This pre-internet, when you left, you were just gone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so he said, "Hey man, you remember Mike Brewer?" And I got his number. I said, "Oh my goodness, man, give me his number." That was the brother that was a 5%er from New Jersey.
Mike Brewer
exposed me to the Nation of Islam teachings while y'all were down here at meeting with Elishama, right? And so that was what he did. He was like, listen. And I'm gonna fast forward to the story. I called him and we got together last week.
Wow.
After 35 years. Man.
Mike is in the area?
Yeah. He was he was the one who had me coming home calling myself Evolution and all of these.
Sir. You gave me my Bilal. You gave me Bilal.
In Howard County, right? But anyway, I reminded him. I remember because it was one day I was like, we were gonna get something to eat. He was like, "Man, don't eat that pork." I was like, "Man, what are you talking about?" Right? He was like, "Nah, man, don't eat that, man. That's you can't eat pork, man. Muslim, you don't eat pork, man. That's slave master got us on that, and God is black and all of this." I was like, "Well, what is this dude talking about?" I was fascinated, and he was schooling me. And then there's one brother from DC brought message to the black man back when he went home. I read it in one night, the entire book in one night, right?
Right.
And so what it did for me is what I've heard somebody characterize it like this. It was the right mix between religion and revolution for me and what I needed in my life. And as a child, for me, when I remember asking one day, where did God come from? I asked somebody in the church or in my family, I remember. And they was like, don't question the Lord. Well, that doesn't work with me, not even at 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? You must got something to hide.
Look at Joaquin. Joaquin feel the same way.
Either you don't know or you got something to hide, right? And so
I ain't got nothing but questions.
So I can't say that Christianity ever traveled that deep within me, right? And so I was open to knowing and having that needing to know. And I have to say, man, that voice, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that voice crying out in the wilderness of North America captured me.
Yes, sir.
It captured me, right? And it opened my mind up far beyond the level of thought that I was operating on, right? And still to this day, I don't care what anybody says about him. He has been the most consistent spiritual guide in the Black community, in the annals of Black history. At it for 72 years, transforming the lives of thousands of Black men. And see, if you counted Muslims like they count Christians, it would be millions of people in the Nation of Islam. Because you Christians,
elaborate on that. How they count Christians?
I'm a Christian.
Oh, okay, right.
That's it. They count Nation of Islam members by registered people that go into what I would call the formal army, right? But 2 million Black men showed up at the mall in Washington, D.C., right? Not all of them were registered members of the Nation of Islam, right? But they knew that was that one voice that could call them. And still to this day, like Joaquin said, what I learned from and through him and through that experience is what guides at the core of my faith. And I've been I don't just study Islam, I study metaphysics, I study physics, I study all of it, right? And all of it squares with that teaching that Elijah Muhammad brought. Do you understand
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So I
Yes,
have
sir.
faith even beyond talking about the Nation of Islam in this universal principle that, well, like Warkey said, and like James said, that yes, God created all of us, right? And we all are reflections of that God, and we have the power. We have the power to say be and it is in our own individual lives. And that alone is what guides my message to my children. You have the power to say be and it is and create your own reality. And you have a duty and responsibility to model the type of behavior and citizenship and treat your brother like he wants to be treated. They asked Elijah Muhammad, asked Minister Farrakhan, brother, what's the best religion?
Right. Yep.
And of course, the minister said, Islam. He said, no, brother, the best religion is treat your neighbor as you want to be treated.
Yes, sir.
So I don't care. We can strip away all the labels.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not out here treating each other with the best of kindness, the best of sacrifice for one another, the best of love. Then we are faithless and we just playing with what we call religion.
What about you, JG? Now you ain't gonna just because you posed the question, bro.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, man. So growing up in a small Baptist church in the country, been there over 130 years, probably more than that. I don't know exact date. Everything good about me, I'm standing on their shoulders, you know. So that's why I grew up right beside the church, walking to the church. A lot of soldiers in there, did a lot of work in the civil rights movement. That's why I was born, bred. That's why I'm going to be buried at, you know. Shout out to Zion Hill. Now on the flip side of that, what I didn't know at the time, there was a gap in men, I believe, that should have been our father age, so to speak, right? Because we had some older men in there that were doing great things. And at some point, so when we got introduced to the nation, that was the thing that turned me on. This is what I call like a positive aggression. You know what I mean? A love, a demand for respect, a demand for accountability that wasn't there. And it's just like, it reminds me in the school system, right? When they say little boys can't sit still, it's more designed for girls because by nature, they're a little more calmer than we are, right? And that's how I felt with the nation. Just coming at a demand for strength, right? A demand for love, a demand for no nonsense type of love, right? And something that fills you up, right? And again, I think we may be dealing with some similar stuff because of some older churches in the country. We're getting old, you know what I mean? And so people are not going there. That's another conversation as well. So
that's real.
Yeah, we're getting older, and I'm sure the mosque may be feeling some of those same issues.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely.
And the pandemic, you know, created this Zoom church environment, man. You know, it's like
right.
People staying at home and watching it on TV now. You know.
Yeah, our pastor actually, I go to a mega church, Creflo Dollar, World Changes Church International, and when but it was so many people didn't come back to the church, and
after the pandemic.
Yeah, after the pandemic. Yeah, thank you, brother. And he taught about basically being in a comfort zone, and you have to be careful by being in a comfort zone, and talk about, you know, a safety assembly, like get back in the body of the church, because God might be ministering to you to pray for the person right beside you or so forth, but you can't do that if you at home and you know you halfway paying attention. You got so many distractions when you in the house, the phone ringing, and you know so much stuff is going on. So you know let's not lose focus, and you go everywhere else you can go, but then when it comes to church, you don't want to go back. So he taught on that, which was, I think it was amazing. It was a good message that need to be shared. And when he did that, yeah, we members start coming back for sure.
What's going on, family? This is Che Wills from Wealth is a Journey. I'm here to invite you to the Wealth Builders community. We meet once a month on Zoom. We talk about financial wins, areas of opportunity, and strategies to get you to the M's. If you've been doing your finances alone, I know it sucks. You don't know which direction to go. You don't know what to do, but I am here to guide you. My wife and I, we have gotten out of debt. We are debt-free, house, cars, credit cards, everything. And I am here to guide you on how you can do the same so then you can start building long-term wealth for you and your children's children. So if you've been doing finances alone and you are tired of it, I'm inviting you to join Wealth Builders Community today. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, you better believe I got a sweet tooth, but ain't nothing sweet. I know you spend all your money to treat. I'm about to spend this little money on treats. Was on a diet, but I gotta cheat. Jumped off the porch, now I'm on 2nd Street. Tamika, my twin, she rolling that dough, and I think about counting that dough in my sleep. What's up, TJ? Before y'all run, I don't wanna be late. I need a little something, I hit the Z-way, and I need it now, I don't need a delay. Peanut butter like my snack, like my woman. Denzel Washington, I'm leaving with sun. Chocolate chip, baby, you know I don't.
I'm guessing somebody may have looked this up, but I just Googled it. It said right now 21 to 30% of adults attend church regularly. 21 to 30% attend church regularly. And that's because, man, you don't go sit in the emergency room if you're healthy. People ain't going because they don't need, they feel like they don't need to go.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going there for? What do I need to go for? You know, because we got so many other things that's regulating our lives. You know, one of the things I try to tell my boys, because we didn't go to church regularly, and it's crazy because their grandfather was the pastor of the church. Right?
And who's
their grandfather was the pastor of the church.
And their great uncle was my pastor.
And their great uncle was your pastor. Exactly.
50+ years. Yeah.
Exactly. But what I always tried to convey to them is that whether we go in this building or not, you still always must know that there's a higher power that's governing our lives.
Mm-hmm.
There's a higher power that's governing our lives. And don't you ever forget that. I don't care what you decide to call it when you get older.
Talk about it, brother.
I don't care what you decide to call it. There's a higher power governing our lives, and there's a higher power that needs to be governing your behavior.
Talk about it, bro.
You know, and that's what you need to know. So it don't matter whether we getting into Confucianism, you know, treat others as you will have them treat you, or whether we talking about, you know, John Smith and Mormons, or it does not matter. How are you going to live your life? And you need to live your life and as an example. People, I know what you believe when I look at you. I know what you believe when I look at you, bro. And by how you move and how you treat people. I watch how you treat people. My sons can tell you right now, they 32 and 28 years old. I can promise you, they would tell you they have never seen me turn a man down that requests money that's on the street. They will tell you that right now. I don't turn people down like that. I don't do that. Right. When people at, you know, whatever it is, I want you to see that. When I'm sending money to the prisons, they need to know that. Because how you treating the sick and the shut-in. You know, they don't got in trouble. That's their problem. I ain't got nothing to do. How you treating them people?
And
how
if
you treating the elderly?
He don't go to church, he a heathen.
Yeah.
He doing what Jesus said, unless you have done this unto the least of these, you have not done it unto me. And you doing that work. And that's my problem with the hypocrisy of what we call, and it's not everybody, so I don't want anybody to get that impression, but the fact of the matter is, like I said, we are in a moral decline. As a community, we don't care what our young girls are wearing anymore. We don't care about disciplining our young boys. We don't feel a responsibility to the community. And you can only have that if you understand that you have that responsibility that Joaquin just talked about. to correctness, to values, to honor whatever universal flow is in power. Because like you said, you can call it what you want, but universal law is undefeated.
That's right.
You know,
He also kind of touched on what I was going to mention as well when Sheila said about the mega church stuff and whatnot, and what Pastor Dollar was talking about. Well, we didn't mention this though, but this is the temple. This is the church. How are you going to place? How are you going to place emphasis on brick and mortar as a place of the house of God? God's spirit dwells within this. This is the temple. So it's not a matter of, as you're saying, congregating and that sort of thing is good as far as fellowship and strengthening one another in a sense. But at some point, when we're headed and we're kind of right in that time now, that we got to rely on what governs, as I said, that spirit, that self-governing spirit of God within us, that we're going to have to focus on. And of course, the scriptures are there for us to study and to get us closer to that supreme being that should govern our or give us the moral compass and whatnot that we should be living. But that's how we get closer to God and come into our godhood, by studying. We got to study. And I'm one of the chief.
Bro, let me say this.
Y'all sound like y'all giving reasons to stay out of the mosque or the church, right? So what?
No, I'm gonna tell you. Hold
on, go back to your hospital analogy. You say it's a whole bunch of sick people. So what do you say to those people that say, "Oh, well, you're not sick. You're above us. You're looking condescending at the folks that need that"? And guess who else is in the hospital? Doctors, nurses, right? The people in transportation, the people that make the hospital run. So we all have some sort of sickness or AKA weakness if you look strong enough. So how would you address that to the people who would say that? And if you are good and you had this, why don't you bring something to the community, to the church or to the mosque? Because no man is an island unto himself.
That's
brother. All of that's true. All of that's true. The problem is we done made materialism our God. We done made money our God. We chasing a bag. We worried about a big house. We worried about a fancy car. That's the problem. So no, I ain't going to church because I got me a nice car. I got me a nice house. I got me a Birkin bag. See, materialism is our God. That's the problem. We done lost focus of where it all comes from. We think it comes from my fancy job. You know,
so when you lose that fancy car, when you lose that fancy house, when that Birkin bag get removed out of your life and you feeling defeated, then what?
They're lost. They're
lost.
I
want you to go to the church and I want you to go to the mosque, but not to get some slave teaching.
Come on, man.
Not to get the teaching that's going to put us in the very condition where we are materialistic and shallow. And that's what's going on. And now I'm not saying every place
out of fear.
I'm not saying every place is like that, right? But I'm saying it's too many places like that. Too many churches and too many mosques, too many synagogues not representing this true and living God that we talking about. So it's hard to ask somebody to go when they see the cliques and the classism and the social discrimination within churches, within our religious institutions. We in a bad place. And some of these pastors, and I said some of these pastors and imams and sheikhs and shulas and whoever, they need to sit down because they're not teaching a liberating theology. And so we in bad shape. And I'm not saying that the solution is to stay away from these places, but that's why they said, I know Jesus at one point, he turned the tables over with the money changers in the church. Somebody got to turn this shit upside down before our people that's staring Jim Crow in the face right now fall back into a historical reality that we don't want any parts of anymore. Because you know how to say, we done lost our sense of shame and connectedness. So like John said, we gotta go. But man, if we don't go and get these, like for example, I gotta say this. It's not about race. It's about the symbolism. If you go into a church and they got the white Jesus and the American flag hanging in there, I'm turning around and walking out.
Right.
And,
Yes,
and one
sir.
thing I do know is those churches can't get funding. Those mega churches can't get funding from that big Christian bank if they don't fly that flag. You understand what I'm saying? So are we a church of the state, or are we a church of God? Are we a mosque of the state or a mosque of the God? And the same, I'm trying to give justice because ain't none of our religious institutions doing what our people need them to do consistently. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You know,
I
That's
love
right.
it. I love the flip the table over analogy, right? So how can we use that analogy to flip some tables today in the church, right? Because we know that saying, if you're the average of the
we're
10
gonna run
people,
down on these pastors, man, and these imams. We're gonna run down on them, bro.
We're gonna
Yeah.
spin the block. We're gonna spin the block on them.
You gonna pull up? You gonna pull up on them? You gonna pull up?
Spin the block.
To stay
I
on
know.
task with what do we advise our boys though to do? You know, I've always pointed to the minister because of course he said it better than I could ever, as well as I would want it to try to resonate in the same way that it did for me at 19 or what have you. And just kind of again try to be the example of what it has done for me and how it has controlled and governed my actions and how I live, more so than anything. However, you know, that's all I feel I can do. Hey son, look, study guides, Final Call, check it out. You know, and I want to kind of give this to the Final Call radio because that's my go-to for study. And when I don't, I just actually sit down and read stuff. But that Final Call radio, man, is my absolute go-to. Where it's just all the lectures of the minister from way back when, the 70s, all the way up to just, you know, a couple years ago or last year or whatever. And that's what I would tell my sons, my daughter, anyone, especially this day and time, like you said, Black, at this time, man, where there's no morality and just all what seems to be lost, man, we got to have some kind of guide, someone who we can look to, or that's giving us the information to be prepared for what's about to go down or what's happening right now.
Hey man, one of the things for me personally, I'm an inconsistent churchgoer, right? Me and Brother Corey went to the mosque to see Brother Nuri a few weeks ago. Shout out to Brother Nuri Muhammad. We saw Cornel West a few weeks back. However, one of the things I tried to instill in my boys is prayer. Not perfect,
Yes, sir.
but we prayed together, man. We prayed together, and I try to do that a lot as often as I could. In the perfect world, you do it every night until they grow up, right? And you never know what sinks in and what doesn't sink in. But then one time Gabriel was like, Dad, can I get a tattoo? I'm like, of what? And you know, he was he 18 at the time? I'm not sure. But he was like, because he knew I was gonna say no, right? And until you get old enough to buy your own tattoo, you do what you say. But if I have to pay for it, you're not gonna get it, right? But anyway, I said, what did you want? And he was like, well, you know how we pray at night? I'm gonna get the Lord's Prayer right here on my arm and boom, 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 and draw this in and draw that, da. Man, he knew my soft spot, right? He melted me, right?
He forked over the $200.
Yeah. I said, you got me, but I'm still not paying for it. You know what I'm saying? So you do something that's on you. However, man, it really made me feel good, and it kind of confirmed that beyond all the mistakes I've made with the improper energy, with the right, I'm trying to put them in the right direction with the wrong energy a lot of times. But that did sink in with them. That's something that we do hold sacred amongst us. Were there any practices or any things that you guys intentionally tried to put in your kids? No matter what. Hey, no matter what, my son and my daughter going to have this A, B, C, D about them, or any practice that you guys have been intentional about in your households?
Speak the truth, regardless of circumstance. Never fear. The people, usually people lie, it's because out of something that they fear. The fear of consequence, the fear of hurting somebody's feelings, the fear, whatever it is. So my number one thing is, look, always speak the truth, regardless of whom and circumstance.
Ain't no such thing as a white lie.
No,
No,
let me
sir.
tell you how I
sir.
shaped that and
You look
to
pretty
piggyback
today. You look slim.
to piggyback on what Jamu said, the truth. That's a big one, to speak the truth. But I would always share with them that the truth is never inappropriate, but the truth without compassion is cruelty. And so you need to make sure that whenever you speak in the truth, all right, that it comes with a level of compassion if that's what's required at the time. So because you're the messenger in that moment, and you need to understand, you know, do you just want to talk, or do you want the person that you're talking to understand and receive your message?
Right.
See, sometimes we just want to talk. We just want to talk, and we like, he didn't get it. He didn't get it. That's his problem. No, you're the messenger. You need to say it until he get it. Figure out another way to say it, and don't get loud. Loud does not mean clarity. So many times we just want to get loud because we think that's bringing clarity. That ain't
Hey,
doing
look, my
nothing. You
brother-
just
my
say
brother-
loud
Ain't nothing worse
things.
than loud and wrong. That's the
Hey,
worst
look, my
damn thing ever.
brother-in-law say, just because you loud don't make it so.
Exactly.
That's right.
I think for me, man, I just wanted definitely to have that foundation with my son. I'm at 8 to 10 years old, man. I remember him letting my mom know or telling us that he a man of God, you know. And I thought that was so cool just for him to be able to put that title on himself at such a young age. And to fast forward, man, just so proud of him. You know, at our right now he part of the youth ministry, and he was leaving the house like on Tuesdays, and I was like, man, like, you know, oh, I'm gone. I'm like, man, where you going? And I you know, and then the next day I know, I said, man, he done left the last 3 Tuesdays around the same time. Like, what is he doing? Like, I thought he had a girlfriend or something. I didn't know what was going on, business or something. And I said, oh man, before you leave, man, you're gonna have to answer. Like, man, what are you doing? Where are you going? It's like, oh, I joined the young adult. That's what it is. I say young adult ministry. I was like, what? He was like, yeah. I was like, wow. You know, I was extremely proud. And then now, man, on Sundays, not every Sunday, they alternate, but on Sundays, he do the church announcements after Pastor Dollar go off, do the church announcements, man, and people from all over the world, you know, he getting that experience to be, you know, to be able to speak that in front of everyone, and it'd be like anywhere.
He's
from
already in front of an audience on television, Talik.
Yeah, but it's not international, brother. You talking
No,
about?
I know.
It's just making.
He's accustomed to it. He's a freaking pro. The dude's a natural. He's been doing journalism since he was freaking 12. No.
Knee high to a grasshopper.
Proud of that guy, man. Proud of him.
Thank you,
nephew,
brother.
man.
Thank you, brother. And so
Good job, sir.
that was you know, like I said, anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 people at the end of service, man, which was, you know, just being able to get that experience, man, on that level of platform is just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me, man, I think it goes back to like James said, speak the truth regardless of the circumstance. I'm gonna tell them the truth and encourage them to tell the truth regardless of the circumstances. Let them know. I think John said the most important thing is at the end of the day, you need to pray. And I said like this, before you're forced to know that you need to pray. Because some things gonna happen in your life that's gonna put you on them knees. And you're gonna realize it ain't no help coming from nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? And you had those moments. And then the other thing is always giving them God's word. Because that's a lens through I see with everything, right? And so I'm gonna always tell you when something happens, say, brother, no, that's not. God says this. God says that. And one of the things I think is powerful is if you do all of of course, service is important. You got to teach them how to serve, right? And but even in absence of that, they say the Catholics used to say, give us your children for 7 years and we'll always have them. Right? That's the same thing, man. I saw this brother, brother James. I don't know what Tony Muhammad. He's in LA. I don't know his name now. Is it Ilya
Malik.
Rashad or something?
Malik.
Brother Tony Muhammad, the
Yeah,
minister of
Malik.
LA.
Yeah, Malik.
Yeah, okay. He
Malik.
said that he used to worry about his sons being in the mosque and joining the nation. I think one of them he said was having some trouble with and wasn't following the teachings or whatever. And he went to Brother Farrakhan and told the minister about this. The minister said, leave him alone. He said he got enough Islam in him. He gonna be all right. And this brother is on the real. He said, your children gonna be all right. You done taught them. And he said what he ended up finding out was his son was hanging out in the street, but was the one exposed Nipsey Hussle to the nation. And Nipsey was in there talking about in an email how he gives message to the black man out to all of his friends and how that book inspired him. So his son was feeding Nip. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Little unbeknownst to him. So my thing is, because we get this knowledge and wisdom, we want them to be where we are right away, right? But you don't put the principles are in them. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
and
sir.
They're governing their lives based on those principles, even whether we know it or not. So the best thing we can do is continue to be examples, continue to be a voice, and just let them find their way. You know what I mean?
That's it. That is it.
Brother, I'm not giving my son to the Catholic Church for 7 years, brother. That's one thing I'm not gonna do.
But I was choosing them as an example because please don't. No, let me stop.
Please don't.
Yeah. You don't want him to be an altar boy?
No, sir. That's a definitely no.
Well, send him to George the Imani Temple with Father Stallings back in the days.
But that's funny.
But the point we taught them is what is enough to govern, and you're building their mental constitution. You know what I'm saying?
Right. What's the old saying about like you the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? Something like that. So outside of our house life, right? Outside of our immediate influence, if you don't want to take your son or daughter to the church or to the mosque, who are the 5 people you're surrounding themselves with intentionally? The basketball team, the football team, the baseball team? Who are they surrounded with, or they allowed to just to pick their own crew? How are we intentional about where they are outside of our household?
My son, he hang around this young group of Christians, and one of the young ladies, she got her own Christian label brand and
clothing label.
Yep, clothing label called Wise Label.
Okay.
But yeah, my son, he spent a lot of time with people, with Christians and stuff, and that was not from my leadership. That was just his relationships and young people he connected with, and I mean, of course, he got business relationships, but yeah. So
I know you're giving him the credit, Talik. However, I mean, you are the most consistent churchgoer of the group. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so I'm gonna give you
not mosque, bro.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you and the missus some credit on that.
Thank you, brother.
But obviously, So obviously Tyreek is doing it, taking it to the next level.
Yeah. I definitely give credit to going to high school. He went to a Christian high school, and man, he was one of the leaders in doing that as well, which just extremely proud of him from that aspect as well. But yeah, so that's most most of his friends, did he introduce to us.
No, that's great. That is great.
Hey John, I'm pretty consistent. My church. No, seriously. I don't.
Church of the Painful Truth at his house.
Church of the Painful Truth. No, man, I go online. It's online, but Eric Thomas has APOC Ministries, a place of change ministry. So he got his own church, and they do service, and I'm on that weekly, every week. But that's not something that that I really talk about. I'm just always living it anyway, living it every day, and I think, what happens, to go back to what Chubb say, make sure you on your knees before you find yourself in a situation that put you on your knee. I think that's super duper important, man, because that's why we got the rates of suicide in our community have skyrocketed. The rates of people on all this antidepressant medication and all that stuff, man. It's a reason for that, man. I mean, I'm not saying people don't need these things. I know I ain't got in trouble for that before. But many times it's because, man, you don't have no faith. You don't have nothing else to lean on. You don't have nothing to lean on. And so
that's what they're putting their faith
pharmacy.
in the meds or whatever
lean on
it
the
is.
Pharmacy because you don't have no faith. So you lean on the pharmacy, you know, and
that's everything.
Yeah, we got a pill for exactly. So you know, I always try to tell my boys, listen, you know what I mean? When I remind them constantly, pray, say your prayer. You know what I mean? Like if you come to me with something, I'm gonna give you whatever I got for you, but then I'm gonna say pray.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say, and don't forget that that's where it's coming from. You know, because sometimes because we don't walk into that building every Sunday at 11 o'clock, people can think that you don't have, you know, that you're dropping the ball when it comes to guiding your children. You know, but my father-in-law, man, we had some phenomenal conversations, and he the pastor of the church, and he understood exactly why we didn't go. But the one thing he would always remind me of was that you got to understand what this church brought us out of. You know, it brought us out of slavery. It brought us through Jim Crow. It brought us through. So don't discredit those things as well.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
They absolutely had their purpose at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And so
I
got mad respect for it. And so so Pastor Eric Thomas at the APOC Ministries, A Place to Change. That's my dude.
Hip-hop preacher.
Yeah, the hip-hop preacher. That's my guy.
What is our, you know, I know we about to close shortly, but what is our overall message about faith?
You better have one, and don't make it materialism. That's my message.
Don't plug into the wrong socket.
So there you go. Don't plug in. Don't tune in to the wrong radio station. Don't plug in the wrong socket, because whoever got your ear got your destiny, as we always say. And you better be plugging into the right stuff. And I think the other thing is, when yours is weak, you can lean on me. I'll help you. I'll help you bring you along. You know what I mean? You can borrow some of my faith if yours is a little weak. And so that's kind of how I always, and then I'm going to live a life that show you exactly what I believe. You're going to know what I believe. And you can choose to follow it or not. You know, it's up to you.
Absolutely. It's interesting because it starts at home. And just like us, we're not perfect. We try, we make mistakes, we try again, we get it right sometimes we don't. The church, the mosque is the same way, right? And so again, going back to your sick analogy, if we are not sick, if we are healthy, we do have a responsibility to others. Each one reach one, each one teach one, right? So we don't want to go back again to use the old oxygen mask philosophy and drown ourselves in trying to help others. But it'd be remiss of us not to attend the mosque or church once in a while and bring our family to be in that community, right? And if we do have something to offer, we can't offer it inside our households, right? How do we offer it outside in the community? That's just one thing. I was on, attend a spiritual meeting, whether it's church, mosque, synagogue, whatever your faith, and be a part of that community.
Faith without works is dead. That's what I would also try to bring around with that as well, because we can't just believe and not actually act out and based on what we believe. You know what I mean? I can't say, I believe I'm going to get this job, and don't go fill out applications and have interviews. You know what I mean? It's just as a simple analogy of, just having a belief, but without any kind of action put, behind it. That's what I would also try to instill to my babies.
I just say, make sure I can see what you believe. Make sure I can see what you believe.
Like you said, from your actions.
I need to see it. I want to see it. You know, and then I know what you believe. Yeah. So that's what I say.
Faith is things hoped for, evidence evidence of things unseen. And so my thing is definitely prayer, man. Prayer. Yeah. So
Gotta do it.
yep. And then have that personal relationship, because you know your personal relationship with God might not be the same relationship as the person beside you. And also you said it started at home, John, and I think that's great. But actually it can start anywhere, because guy down the street, lady down the street could introduce you to Lord Jesus
That's right.
Christ, and a spark go off. So it can start anywhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we got to be humble, man, humble, grateful, and thankful, and not extract something out of something. And then we think we're so great that that's useless to us. We don't need that anymore. You know what I mean? So we have to be careful of that. And again, give back whatever we have to give back a little bit. And again, be grateful and humble.
Yeah, and
All right,
my
man.
final remark would be, you know, this world has done a great job of getting us to separate God from science, God from psychology, God from everything,
From mathematics.
and God from us, to make it think it's some unattainable thing, when in fact, as Jesus said, ye are all God's children of the Most High God, and we are perfect reflections of him. And that the example of Jesus Christ was the example to show you that I am the way, right? Not that I'm the God, but I am the way. Do what you see me do, and you can become what you see I became. And if we understand that we have that power, then our children and everybody else gonna be in good shape, brother.
That's right. Yes, sir.
All right. And in the words of the great Frederick Douglass, it is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. Peace.
Peace.
Each one reach one, each one teach one, brother. Peace.